Welcome back to the Becks. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
So we are talking about House LLC.
Yes, we are.
And where did you get the idea to talk about this movie from, Becky?
This one I don't know.
It was literally Hello, Sydney.
No,
It wasn't?
I watched that before her. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, nope, she did not. She watched it, but I had already seen it. She did a podcast on it, but I had already seen it. I watched it because, I remember. I looked up a list of obscure scary movies, like really scary movies. I watched it myself. I don't even think I told you I watched it. And I watched it myself and freaked myself out. And then I was like, fuck, you need to watch it. Whoops, sorry. I don't swear on my podcast.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was like, I need to tell Sydney about this one. But yeah, no, I was excited when I listened to the Hello Sydney podcast. Shout out to Sydney, because she had done an episode on it and she really liked it. And I was like, yes, I'm not the only one. Because sometimes with found footage movies, people just really don't like it. But
So I'm extremely picky with the found footage that I like, because I think I liked the first two Paranormal Activity movies. I thought they were really good.
yes.
And then I eventually watched Blair Witch Project, because I was not old enough to watch it when it came out. I know I'm really making myself sound pretty young here, but
I'm really old. Thanks.
and my parents wouldn't let me watch it because they're like, it's too scary. They're like, you need to be like 16. So I think when I finally turned 16, I'm like, I'm going to watch this. And I was so bored.
Yeah. So did Paranormal Activity come out before the Blair Witch Project?
The original Blair Witch Project came out in the early 2000s, I thought.
I think so too.
Because it was like...
So it was first, right? It's one of the first ones.
Yeah, I think it kind of made the genre popular because they used the internet as like a tool to market in a way that had never been done before. Okay. Because, obviously the internet wasn't, a thing always.
No, it wasn't. Believe me. I had dial-up.
Hey,
So I get it. I had flip phones. Flip phones.
I also had dial-up growing up. Thank you,
Well,
Rebecca.
that's because you lived in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So,
Parents...
you guys were the first. Yeah, because Jacob is your age.
Yeah.
So he was just 2 or 3 playing his little games like Freddy Fish and stuff online. And yeah, we'd dial it up and he would sit there and get so mad because it took so long.
Yeah. So anyway, I eventually watched it and I was very bored. Let's see, other found footage that I watched. I remember Cloverfield I really liked.
I don't think I've watched Cloverfield.
There's like a trilogy of movies. There's Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, no, I have watched those, yep.
And the Cloverfield Paradox, which I think was a Netflix exclusive. But there have been like really bad found footage films that have come out. Any Paranormal Activity movie past the second one, I think, is absolute trash.
Super cheesy. Unbelievable.
It just like, it was like overplayed. I don't know. So I was a little hesitant when you told me that this was a found footage film because I was like, eh.
I know, I was the same way. I almost shut it off when I first started watching it and found out it was found footage. I was like, But
because like the suspension of disbelief actually I feel like has to be stronger in found footage films because let go of the fucking camera, man.
Yeah.
Also, if you're running for your life scared about something, you're not going to be pointing it directly at the thing that's scaring you. It's going to be clutched in your hand, faced at a wall or something,
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be like, oh, let me look at this monster through my camera phone,
Yeah.
So it's like, unless it's heavy on like the journalistic aspect of it, which Cloverfield was, I find it much harder to believe that someone would just hold on to a camera during an event like that, because at least with Cloverfield, it was like a news crew, I think. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. It's been years. But I feel like that guy had a good excuse to have a camera.
Yeah, they were.
So-
I mean, that's what they did. That was their business. So he was documenting everything, and probably so they could look back and see, what they could improve on and what they couldn't.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of a adorable nerd that carried the camera everywhere.
He was adorable.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie's so sad. Okay, anyway, let's go back to Hell House LLC. So,
Yes.
tell us about this movie, Becky.
This movie messed with me. I love Halloween. I love scary things.
Hence why we started.
Yes. I love the idea of a really good haunted house. I am way too old to do them anymore because I'm just scared of falling down or someone, hitting me, or I'm old. So
The true terror.
the true terror, falling down. Well, I had 3 back surgeries, so falling down's a scary thing.
No, that's fair. That's valid.
So, but I love the whole idea of decorating and scaring people. I would love to have my own haunted house. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
I have the perfect woods and the perfect yard
they're
for
so
it. It would
creepy.
be so good. And this is the basic premise is there's this group. They host haunted houses, events. At Halloween time, they do about a week's worth of events. They were hosting one in New York to begin with, and it was like huge and went viral.
New
and-
York City.
Yes, New York City. Lots of people coming in to see it. So then they decided to branch out and start a new one in like this little town. Let me see. What's the name?
Wasn't
of the
it
town?
Aberdeen?
Yes, because it's the Aberdeen
Aberdeen.
Hotel. So yes, so they starts out with actually the movie is based on reporters or a group doing a story on the people that held this haunted house event because
Yeah.
there was a tragedy that went along with it. And that's how it starts out. It's the director of the movie starts talking about how this is the original. We watched the original cut or the extended
the
version,
director's
director's cut. So he comes on stating that, they've included all the cut footage and this and that, and leads into basically interviews with local people.
Or people that were in the know.
People that were people that were actually there that night that it happened.
Yeah.
That
People who had written books or articles about it.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of mystery surrounding what actually happened the night that the Hell House opened.
Yeah, it was
and
their
closed.
debut night. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it kind of just starts out with, news stories about how there was a tragedy, something malfunctioned,
Yeah, they were trying to blame it on a malfunction.
an
And then,
equipment malfunction.
and then some people were claiming that it was like a gas leak. But either way, like 15 people died,
Yeah.
including it looked like somebody had killed themselves as well.
Yeah. And it was, there was only one survivor in the whole crew that set this up. And there were, how many of them were there? There were quite a few.
Like the main crew, I think, was 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And then they also hired on actors.
Yeah, like local people that would come in and
Yeah.
portray like scary clowns and
Yeah, the scary clown was one. There was a girl who had to be like chained up because she was
Yeah.
being tortured.
she was chained up in the basement.
And
being
of course, there was
tortured.
actors who would like guide people through,
Yeah.
get people checked in, all that stuff.
So this movie actually terrified me. I was watching it by myself at night.
It's the first mistake.
Yeah, right. I don't usually get too scared unless it's, like The Strangers, about people just breaking into your home and killing you because you're home. Things like that scare me. Scary movies, yes, they scare me, but I'm usually not like, oh my God, I can't sleep alone. This one bothered me, which is weird because it was a haunted house and it's not like my house is haunted, but it was an old hotel / restaurant, pretty much abandoned, had been for years.
Yeah, they talk about how the original hotel had been closed because the owner hanged himself.
Yeah.
And there was like rumors of him being in part of a satanic cult. It's always satanic cults.
Always. And see, I grew up in the 80s, and that was a huge thing, too. Satanic cults everywhere. Because that's when D&D really started becoming huge, and they said that everybody that played D&D were Satanists, and it's horrible.
So when I visited my brother, Adam told me that my mom was one of those people who thought D&D was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, of course she did.
Well, and I'm sure my parents did, too. My brother loved D&D, and they would not allow him to do that because it was bad. But that's also when they had the, kind of like the witch trials. They were hunting people down and saying they were satanic. And so it was a huge thing. One of my scary stories, personal experiences, was being terrified of satanic people. And that will come up in one of my brother took us to a cemetery and whole thing. At that time, there were people supposedly, teens in groups, sacrificing animals.
In your hometown?
In my home. Well, no, here in, close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so like in our area.
In our area, yeah. They found multiple mutilated animals, and so it was a big thing.
Hearing about
people were stealing stuff and desecrating graves, stealing stuff off of graves and desecrating graves. And I actually knew one of those people, and he went to prison for it. He actually stole things off a baby's grave. He was
You can go to prison for that?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Desecrating a grave.
I mean, no, I get it.
He broke the headstone and stole all the gifts that were left there for the baby.
What a fuck face.
Yeah, he was not right. Yeah, so this whole satanic thing.
Yeah, when the crew first gets there, they kind of talk about, because it's pretty run down. It doesn't have electricity. There's no heat. They have to get all this stuff set up to make their haunted house what they want it to be. Yeah. And Alex is the CEO of Hell House or whatever, and he's kind of an asshole, and people are like, hey, how did his friends and his employees, I should say, I don't think he has any friends, they're like, how did you find this place? And he's like, I thought it would be perfect, it's in the middle of nowhere, but people will travel to see our brand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like we have brand power. And he's like, yeah, I heard that this was, they heard that it had a history, the original owner allegedly died in the house, and so that's, in his mind, he was thinking that it's the perfect
setup for the perfect haunted house. I mean, how could you ask for more, But the thing is that the one survivor out of the production group was Sarah. And
Alex's girlfriend.
And she actually contacted the crew that did this movie, the production crew that's doing this movie, and she said that she would agree to talk to them, and nobody had seen or heard from her since this happened. Mm-hmm. And so the guys were like, nah, she's not gonna show up, and she's like, I bet you she does. And then she gets a phone call as they're sitting there talking about it on camera, and it's Sarah, and she says she's there.
Yeah.
And so they let her in, and it's creepy as hell. She
seems off. When I first watched the movie, I thought that I was like, oh, okay, she is deeply traumatized by whatever happened. Deeply.
Well, everybody she was super close to and had worked with and was friends with, they were all killed in kind of a horrific manner. I mean...
Yeah, and at this point, you don't know how anybody died.
Yeah.
The movie is super effective at building dread. So it opens up with, this recovered footage of some of the first people that got to go into the haunted house. So it's guests that went in. And throughout their journey in the Hell House, they have the typical haunted house scares. They have some animatronics, and they have some...
live people that are jumping out at you, dressed up scary.
Yeah, and, flashing lights and all that good stuff. But that something bad is going to happen because the movie tells you.
Yeah, yeah, straight up, that's how it starts.
Yeah, and it's just like this creeping dread. And I think it's so cool that they used a haunted house to tell the story, because that's what happens in a haunted house, right? Like, you go from room to room and your dread is rising and rising.
Yeah.
And they use that to the advantage of the story that they're telling.
And how they got the footage was Sarah brought it to them.
Yeah.
Like, she just had this bag of footage, and she just gave it to them. And
she tells them that she got it before the cops could get it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is super interesting.
Yeah,
because, the whole time that they make it clear, the news people and Sarah, that the cops, the people in the town... all of the authority figures, they cover up what really happened. So in Sarah's mind, if they had gotten a hold of the original footage, they would have destroyed it.
Yeah. And Sarah, she tells them that she doesn't want to film anymore. She literally was there for a very brief period. But she tells them if they need anything to find her at the nearby hotel in room 2C.
Yeah. They don't, I feel like they don't, not a lot of time passes before they...
Well, no, and she tells them that they should break into it. If they break into the Abaddon, that they'll see more.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, wait, for real?
Yeah. And so we start seeing this footage of them getting the venue ready.
Yep.
Getting there, what they need to set it up.
And, like, it needs a ton of work. Like I said, the windows are broken in. It needs a lot of work, and they...
Did he buy that, or did they just decide to move into it?
I can't remember.
I can't remember
They're like, because they ask Alex, they're like, hey, where are we going to stay? And he's like, oh, we'll just stay here. And Sarah's like, are you for fucking real? Because it's October in upper New York. It's cold.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, I just thought it would be part of the experience, Alex is kind of a tool. And you see this throughout the movie. People repeatedly come to him with concerns, and he either just dismisses them out of hand or fucking lambasts them for trying to...
Yeah, like disturbing things are happening. And his friends, the crew, are coming to him and saying, hey, something's not right. We probably shouldn't be here. And he's like, oh, it's fine, quit being a pussy or whatever.
Yeah, literally.
And he just keeps pushing them more and more. It's like he's totally detached from what's really happening around him.
He thinks they're trying to sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to sabotage the whole fucking thing, which is stupid because that's how they make their money as well. He was just like, he had a lot of self-importance, and that ultimately leads to the entire detriment of the whole crew. So... my favorite character was the cameraman.
Yeah, me too.
Cameraman. He was not well liked by people. He was repeatedly... He's the one who starts to see stuff that starts to freak him out.
Yeah, right away.
So one thing they do, and I want to point out too, one thing I liked about this movie a lot is that it didn't use any CGI. It was all practical effects. Mm-hmm. And they use those practical effects to the fullest of their capabilities. So they talk about how they buy these clown dummies. Okay, there's 3 of them.
Nobody should have a life-size clown dummy.
And they're really creepy, but they go out of their way in the movie to show that they don't move. They're kind of stiff. So Alex wants to get a clown actor to kind of supplement the fact that they're dummies. Like, they look really creepy and they're effective, but you need at least one, actor to make it look real. And he's like, yeah, we can't really position them because they literally can't do... They can't move. Like, you can move their arms and legs, but, you can't turn their heads or do anything like that. So the cameraman's name is Paul, and he holds the camera most of the time. So he's going around documenting all of the work that they're doing, and he starts to see shit be creepy and wrong. Like, he's one of the first people. And one of the first things that happen in this movie is that he notices when he's walking through the house that the clown mannequins turn and look at him.
Ugh. Especially that one.
Like, he doesn't see them turn, but he passes by them. He says hello to them. He's like, "What's up, boys?" Whatever. And he goes to the other room, and then when he comes back, they're all facing him, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Because genuinely that would be me.
Yeah. And there's the one really creepy one just moves positions, like completely, like is in someplace else from where it was.
It starts just appearing in other places.
Yeah.
He plays the footage back for, his friends because he's freaked out. Yeah. And they're like,
oh, you did that, man. Who did that? They're blaming each other.
Yeah.
Nobody's believing that what he's seeing is real. They just think someone's fucking with them.
And then, Paul eventually goes missing. And instead of his friends being concerned, they're just like, well, he's been a flake in the past. Like, he's just whatever.
He was kind of like, that nerdy guy with the camera that follows you around and makes jokes. And you probably get tired of him after a while because he was constantly in their faces.
Yeah.
But he was really just trying to have enough footage that they could look back and see what they needed to improve on and what they needed to do. And You know, just things like that.
Sarah gets pretty badly affected by the house as well. Like she
wants to leave.
She starts sleepwalking. She's caught by Paul a couple of times in weird positions, like speaking to the mannequins, speaking in tongues, like she's not making any sense, like she's mumbling or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's totally freaked out. And in fact, it's one of the times when Paul is looking for her that he wakes her up, and then the clown mannequin is like following them around.
Yeah. Like,
again, you don't see it move, but it's every time they turn a corner, they're expecting to see it, and it's really scary. Like, it's super.
The whole thing is terrifying. It just,
it's super effective.
There's some scenes in this movie that are very disturbing, and there's not a lot of gore. I mean, there's a couple scenes where it's a little gory, but it's just the psychological terror that you're feeling as you're going through this, the things that are building up.
Yeah.
Like, there's one point where Paul's in his bedroom, and he's talking to himself on the camera, because he does that a lot. He, like, documents everything. And there's this girl.
It's one of the mannequins.
Creepy dead girl behind him. And she's just there.
Or, like, the time that he takes that. Yeah,
she walks towards him. Yeah.
Yeah, because he takes the camera and hides under the covers. Which,
why would you hide? I'd run like a freaking gazelle. Gazelles run fast, right? That's what I'd be doing, running like a gazelle.
And each time he peeks out from under the covers, she's closer. And it takes. The thing is like he doesn't. The director did a great job, I think, because he has the actor wait kind of a really long time.
Too long. He waits too long.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you know what's coming. Like, this is when Paul gets dragged away.
Yeah.
But it's still super scary, even though you know that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
This movie stresses me out. It stresses me out. I told Sydney this because I'm just... Yeah, I will never probably go into another haunted house, you know, not only for the fear of getting hit in the back or falling down because of my back, but literally, I am so afraid that this could be a thing. I'm just telling you.
Well, I mean,
beware.
That's always been something that's kind of in the back of my mind because I am a morbid thinker, and I'm just like, you know... It's like when there's fireworks, I'm like, oh, this would be the perfect time to shoot somebody.
Oh, Lord. I don't think of that. But yes, no.
But you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, you look around because you want to be aware of your surroundings because, yes, that's a perfect setup for you to die.
Yeah, and the same thing in a haunted house. What if they're not actors? You know?
I have thought that many times at haunted houses. What if there's a real psycho in here?
Yeah.
And he's just going to start killing people as we walk through.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, and they always talk about those, because in this movie, when shit starts to go bad, the actress who is chained up, she's actually chained up, which that cannot be legal. The safety of your actors always come first when it comes to haunted houses and stuff like that. So the fact that Alex got away with that is fucking so stupid.
No, it should have been breakaway chains of some sort.
Yeah, but she couldn't get loose, and so you could hear her screaming, which props to that actress because she did a great job. She's like, this isn't fake. I really am locked in here. I need somebody to get the key.
Yeah.
The clown guy, the actor, he had the key, and he fucking left her.
He ran, dude. You see these people because there's one lady that they interview that they were waiting in line and they were super excited. Boyfriend was recording stuff and she's like, I think we're next. We've been waiting a long time. And so they're walking through and, you know, they show them going through the hallway. They go past some people and all of a sudden the clown runs by them.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I don't think that, her boyfriend was like, I don't think that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And so he just ran away. He left. He was supposed to be there to protect the girl in the basement. That was the whole thing, right? He was the protector.
Yeah, because they didn't want anybody touching her.
Yeah.
Because she was like half naked because of course she was.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, if I ever did go into a haunted house and it led me to a basement with one entrance and one exit, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I don't care if it was a haunted house I made. I am not going down in a basement in a haunted house with just one entrance and one exit.
Do you have a basement in this house?
No, crawl space that you could pretty much almost walk in, but no.
I was just curious. So, I want to pause here. You've been in haunted houses before, right, Becky?
Yes.
So, I used to go to the one 45 minutes north of where we work.
Okay.
You know, in that town.
Yep.
And they had a great one set up in an old abandoned school building. And those were the best. That was the best haunted house I ever went to. So scary. They did so good. And I remember they had the Silent Hill nurses. Scared the shit out of me.
Oh, I bet.
I remember I went, one year I took my brother for his birthday. And then one year I took Lizzie. And I was not moving fast enough for Lizzie. We got towards like the end stretch of it. Because I was just like, oh, haha. Like, and I was like screaming and then laughing, you know. But she was like, nope. And we got towards the end, and that's when this guy ripped on a chainsaw and chased you the rest of the way out. Mm-hmm. She grabbed my hand, and I swear to God, my feet did not touch the floor for the entire journey out of this haunted house because she was booking it. She was like, I was like, he wasn't actually going to kill us. And she's like, you have the survival instinct of a wet piece of lettuce, or, you know, something like that. I'm like, but yeah, that was very, very creepy. And the whole time they had the Silent Hill siren going, which is just very, I mean, it's just like a tornado air siren or whatever, but there's something so eerie about it.
Yeah.
What was your haunted house experience? Did you have a good one? Did you ever go to a good one?
Mine was more of a haunted scavenger hunt.
Okay.
When I was 15. So it all led to an old abandoned hotel that was owned by it was our church actually that did it. But
hilarious.
We had a scavenger hunt. It was back in the days before they locked up all the cemeteries because people, you know, didn't desecrate them back then. So we started out at our church and we waited till after dark and we went from cemetery to cemetery and we ended up at an old abandoned hotel and it's built in the probably 1920s. So it was old. It was on a lake. But the scariest part for me was we went to the last cemetery before we got to the hotel and the group ahead of us had actually parked way down the road and walked back and they hid in the cemetery.
No!
And like one was they had like a garbage can, like one of those big metal, 50-gallon drums.
Yeah.
It was in the cemetery. And I don't know if it was like a burn barrel for like when they were cleaning the cemetery or if it was actually garbage for them to throw the like old flowers and stuff in. But one of the members of the group ahead of us actually hid in that drum. No. And so we get out to go find the clue and these assholes jumped out of the garbage can and scared me to absolute death. I think after that, the hotel didn't matter. It was scary because we had to go up the old stairs. And, in old buildings like that, the stairways are super steep. And it's just creepy. Yeah.
And they smell bad.
Yeah.
And
it was freakish. But the scariest part was the cemetery. That, holy moly. Yep. Probably the reason I do not enter cemeteries now at night because screw you, I'm not doing it. I'll go in the day all day long. I love cemeteries. They make me feel at peace, usually, but not at night.
So how much do we want to spoil of the movie?
I don't know.
This movie, I was both... So the movie is kind of self-aware in that it's kind of silly, and it leans into it. The ending of the movie is equal parts corny.
Yeah.
But, like, the reveal about Sarah and stuff like that, I thought was very creepy and cool.
Yeah, it was super creepy. Ugh.
So, the interviewers, they go down to the hotel front desk, and they're like, hey, if a woman, there's a woman in 2C, her name's Sarah. If she comes in, just tell her that we'll be back in a few hours, because they're going to go to the Aberdeen hotel and break in, like Sarah suggested. And the hotel staff is like... we don't have a room 2C here. And immediately I was like, she's talking about the room in the Aberdeen. Like, yeah. I was like, yeah, for sure. And they're like, okay, well, like, maybe it's under her name. And so the hotel staff looks up her name, which I just want to let people know, like, they will not do that.
No, absolutely not.
Hotel staff are not allowed to tell you if someone is staying in a room or anything like that.
And that's been for years and years and years, because I had a friend back in the early 90s that was dating a girl, and he went to a hotel with her, and one of his ex's friends worked there at the front desk, and she called his ex. And when that happened, he went to the owners of the hotel and was going to sue.
Oh,
and
shit.
So they offered him free rooms for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't. It's a security thing. But they are like, we don't have anybody by that name. And they're like, oh, that's fucking weird. Maybe she because she made the excuse that she was tired, so she was going to go back to her hotel room and rest.
She wanted to stop recording, yep.
Just for a bit. And so they go to the hotel. They start going through. Her cameraman is like, fuck this place. It's creepy as hell, man. And he flat out refuses to go in the basement where everything went down. He's like, no, I'm not going in there. Which is so smart.
Well, yeah, and you can see there's blood.
Yeah.
Like dragging marks of blood.
Yeah,
so
like
it's not like,
handprints
they were, gassed. There was a gas leak, or, this. It was clearly something pretty violent happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Terrifying.
And, I mean, the movie doesn't have a good ending, really.
No. And it's kind of an unexpected ending, some parts of it, too. The way they handled Sarah was pretty... Holy Hannah.
Because, like, during the movie, they switch from... Okay, so they interview her. She talks some. They watch some of the footage, and it kind of goes back and forth. You see, for a long period of time, you're just looking at the footage. And while the main character lady, the interviewer, and her cameraman go to the hotel, they have a staff member going over all of the footage. And he tries to call them because... he sees some stuff that they need to know about, but she just rejects his call because she's like, I'll call him later. You know? This movie's definitely worth giving a watch.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It freaked me out.
There are times where it's a little corny. The acting isn't great, But again, they do this all with, like, practical effects. I'm pretty sure the budget was tiny. And it's effective. Like I said, there's just this rising feeling of dread throughout the whole movie. And... back to the found footage thing. The Paranormal Activity 2, when the German Shepherd gets, like, thrown up the stairs.
Oh, that's horrible. That's a horrible scene. That freaks me out, and I just want to... No, that's... Anyways.
It pisses me off, because I'm like, okay, listen. To a degree, I understand vengeful ghosts or spirits or whatever enacting their revenge on people, the living. Because they have the one thing that they cannot have anymore, they're alive, blah, blah, blah. That was disrespectful what they did to that dog.
Yeah.
That was not necessary.
But I think that made that one scarier.
What, like the dog was going to bite the ghost? Get the fuck out of here. There's no reason for that.
So anyways, on that tangent.
That's what they're here for, our funny commentary on things.
It's true. But yes, no, this is one of... I think my favorites recently.
Yeah.
And it's like, it came out a long time ago. I didn't even know it was a thing.
2015.
That's still, that's, almost 10 years ago now, dear.
I think that's why it got kind of buried, because that was like the height of the Paranormal Activity movies and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was just another found footage film that came out.
And I think it's a shame, because I think they did really well with it.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of scary moments, a lot of psychological torture. For me, that's the biggest thing, is I was just like on the edge of my seat. Nope, I don't want this to happen. No.
Yeah, I love movies that kind of use your own imagination against you, and I think this movie was very effective at doing that.
This is one of my top ones up there right now.
Yeah.
I really do like it.
Super glad I watched it. And obviously it was pretty successful. Because, the Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score and the critic score is really good. Yeah. I don't hinge a lot of my opinions on Rotten Tomatoes, but there's something to be said about how it's positive.
It's true. I don't either because there's a lot of movies that got bad ratings that I love. So
Yeah, and it spawned a lot of sequels.
Yeah.
Like 4 of them.
Yeah, and I haven't watched any of them. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if I want to. I've heard that they're good, but this one just really, this one got to me. This I don't know if I want to watch more and see if it ruins that for me. You know how sometimes you'll watch a second one, you're like, this was just dumb. Why didn't I?
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Anything after the second movie, I get it.
And I'm hearing speaking of that, the new Strangers has come out and people are saying it's not good.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I feel like we have to talk about it because we talked about the first one, and that was one of our, what was that, like episode 4?
I don't know, but that's another one of my top 10. That one I love very much. And
very scary.
And I know we mentioned in the beginning, I don't know what Keegan will edit out or leave, but I've been listening to the Hello Sydney podcast, and I heard about her from the Morbid podcast. So
she's also kind of like a smaller.
Yeah, I guess she's pretty big on TikTok, and she talks about her Tumblr a lot. But
oh my God, Tumblr! We're not getting a Tumblr. I draw the line.
Whatever. TikTok would be good. I'd like to get more people to be listening. We need a bigger reach, I think, but. Yeah, so the Hello Sydney, she's suggested some films, and I've been watching some ones I didn't even know existed, which is exciting for me because...
Yeah, no, I love finding obscure stuff because one of the movies that I want to talk about that I actually watched again recently is Color Out of Space.
Oh, I've never even heard
It's
of
a Nicolas Cage movie.
See, I don't know how I feel about Nicolas Cage. But...
No, okay, so...
kind of don't enjoy it, but
he's still Nicolas Cage in this movie, but it's based on an H.P. Lovecraft movie, and it's about this color out of space. And it is very disturbing. I made my brother watch it in revenge for him making me watch Hereditary again. Ugh. Which I swore to myself I'd never watch again.
If you've ever watched Hereditary, you know why. Well, we probably will cover that one. I don't know that we'll watch it again. We might just do some reading and talk about it, because Hereditary is an extremely disturbing film.
Yeah.
Especially, there's just a certain scene in there that's...
Which one, Becky? Which one?
There's so many scenes that are so disturbing.
I was going to say, that one particular scene.
It's a pretty traumatizing film if you've never seen it.
I feel victimized by it personally.
Yeah.
Look out for a Hereditary episode. Look out for Color Out of Space, which I own. I'll borrow. And we're going to do an episode on Little Nightmares. We need some more time to play through it again, so that we can be fresh and talk about it.
I'm not a gamer. I need to figure it out. I think I need my son's girlfriend to help me because I get lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. But yeah, so we're going to kind of leave House LLC up in the air for you, just because it's a movie that you really have to watch to appreciate and experience the ending. So we kind of don't want to ruin that for you at this point.
Yeah.
But if you do watch it, let us know what you think of it for sure, because... Yeah, it terrified me. I'm still traumatized. I couldn't watch it the second time.
And maybe if we get enough engagement and people are interested, we might talk about a sequel.
Yeah.
But that'll be up to you guys. We're going to leave that in your hands as a way to... I'm bribing you. I'm bribing you. You have to comment and stuff. Because we're not going to do it on our own.
Share. Get us more listeners. We're just a couple girls trying to make it here, so.
Yeah.
Someday we'd like to make this our full-time gig. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, that would be so nice.
We would have to talk.
We would have so much time to just consume horror media and talk about it.
Yes.
It's the dream.
That is the dream. Anyway, on that note.
So, thank you so much for joining us once again. Today the pod, tomorrow the world. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks.